Welcome friends. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you a free resource that you can utilize to help save a lot of money with your next car purchase. And that's going to be with a free leasing calculator brought to you by AutoCompanion. Now, this is a company that I've been sharing with my audience for the last several years now, and they have always offered a free leasing calculator, which my audience has used to save a lot of money with their car buying purchase. If you are one of those individuals, you can actually support AutoCompanion and you can do a one-time donation or even a monthly donation to help keep this calculator free to use, because it does cost AutoCompanion and his team thousands of dollars to have this up and running and to keep this free. So there you go. But right now, this calculator, it's been revamped. It's been made more robust. It's got a lot more features. So I'm going to be covering all of those updates in this video. And in the future, there's also going to be a finance calculator and even a cash purchase calculator. You might be wondering, why do you need a cash calculator? Well, the reason for that is because, car buying, it's extremely nuanced. There's a lot that goes into this, and you're about to see that for yourself in this video. A lot of it involves, incentives from the manufacturer, and the way that works is the incentives you get, it can depend on your buying method, whether you pay cash, whether you finance, whether you lease. And depending on that method, actually, leasing and financing can even end up being cheaper than paying cash for a car, depending on the incentives that the manufacturer wants to provide. But anyway, AutoCompanion, he's also one of the largest car brokers in the United States, and he's got several deals and discounts on vehicles. So for this example, I'm going to be utilizing the 2025 Toyota Tacoma, which AutoCompanion is offering 14% off the MSRP on, which is amazing. As you can see, he already has a built-in calc into his website. That's free, of course, but it doesn't show you everything. So if you want to negotiate on your own, and if you want to try and see if you can get these discounts for yourself, then come over to this calculator and let's get started. I'm going to be walking you through how to use this. Two ways you can get started. Well, before we get started with everything, to access this, you do have to create an account with AutoCompanion. Once that's done, you can come here, you can either enter the VIN number or you can manually select the vehicle that you want to work on. So we're choosing the Tacoma, of course, four-wheel drive. We're checking out the SR5 double cab with the 5-foot bed. Don't get confused by the GS, the NATL, and the SE. Just choose the National and you should be fine. The numbers will populate correctly. MSRP that we were looking at, $44,000, and the discount was 14% off. So why are we using that? So that's what AutoCompanion was offering. If you're going to negotiate on your own with a dealership, you can try to get the same discount. And with this calc, you'll be able to truly understand the numbers of all this. Come here and just enter in your zip code, and that way the calculator will begin to fetch various programs. Select the special lease option because that's going to be your incentivized lease program. Okay, and all of this is assuming that you have perfect credit. Keep that in mind as well. Scroll down. You can select between 24 months and 36 months. We're going to choose 36 because that seems to be cheaper, and the lowest annual mileage that Toyota offers is 10,000 miles. But if you need more, you can select more. And you can see on the right hand side, everything begins to update. And you're also going to see the details of the lease on the right hand side as well, but I'm going to cover that later on. Okay, right now we've selected a 3-year lease, 10,000 miles, and this is the powerful part of AutoCompanion's calculator. You can see the residual value and the money factor of the lease. The money factor is the interest rate on the lease, which in this case it is 4.85% interest, and this is information that you do not have access to normally. And it's crazy that we do now have access to this information, and for free, thanks to AutoCompanion. Now the dealership cannot get one over on us, right? They can't just mark this up on us because we know what the true money factor is now. And now nobody can say that leasing is fleecing, because now we can actually see the mechanics behind leasing, the numbers behind it. So there's now no more confusion when it comes to leasing. You can actually take advantage of this buying strat. Okay, now you scroll down, we come to the incentives. Now, incentives, this is going to change depending on your region, what zip code you're going to be registering the vehicle in. But yeah, this is another really useful piece of information that AutoCompanion's calculator is able to gather, because a lot of these incentives, they're not even going to show up on Toyota's official website. So you're able to see truly everything that you can qualify for, from military to loyalty and certain NFL partner programs. Whatever you are able to qualify for, you can see everything here. I'm just going to choose military for this example. All of these incentives, they actually stack on top of AutoCompanion's dealer discounts. So his partner dealerships, they're offering 14% off. This is what the dealership is providing off the sticker price. So if you're negotiating with the dealership, this is what you're asking the dealership to come off of regarding the price. And the incentives are going to stack on top because these come directly from the manufacturer, not from the dealership. So yeah, you could take $750 if you qualify for military, subtract that from the selling price. Anyway, scroll back down. Now you come to the taxes, fees, and the add-ons. Usually some dealerships, they charge between $700 to $800. I'll just put in $700 as the dealer fee, but AutoCompanion's calculator, it already populated the acquisition fee and the government fee. And these fees, they are all mandatory fees. These are not like junk fees. You do genuinely have to pay this when you buy a new car. So this is fine. This is not a problem. Now the tax, this usually auto-populates for other makes and models, but for Toyota, it does not. So you actually do have to select the state and the county that you're going to be registering the vehicle in. So I chose a Pennsylvania zip code, and we can choose Philly County. That's fine. So I like to use the higher tax states for these examples. And once you've done that, you'll see the numbers update on the right-hand side. And what I really like about this calculator is you can do a true zero money down lease. You can do a true sign and drive, so you can roll in your fees and your taxes into the payment, and you can do a true zero money down lease. This is ideal because you don't want to put money down on a lease. It's not like financing. So what I recommend is you put no money down, or you can do like the first month's payment due at start, like that's fine, but I wouldn't go much further than that. And then I would just get the gap insurance. That's what I would personally do. But yeah, you can just roll all of these items in, and there you go. Your payment on this $44,000 Tacoma, it's going to be $336.09 per month for a 3-year lease with 10,000 miles. Okay. Disposition fee is something that you pay at the end of the lease. You may or may not pay this. If you decide to turn the keys back in at the end of the lease, then you will have to pay this disposition fee. But since this is a pickup truck, it's possible that there's going to be positive equity left over at the end of the lease. Not a guarantee, but it does occasionally happen. And when that's the case, you can just trade in the vehicle at a CarMax or even at another Toyota dealership, and you don't have to worry about this disposition fee. Regardless, we're not done yet. There's actually more new features to talk about. I wanted to come back to the money factor area, and I want to talk about multiple security deposits. This is one of the new features to AutoCompanion's calculator. MSDs, or multiple security deposits, this is not the same thing as putting money down on a lease. MSDs, they are a refundable deposit that you get back at the end of the lease, or if you decide to sell the vehicle early, the bank that you are working with, they will actually refund you your MSDs. Now, in this example, if you put down the maximum amount of MSDs, which is 9, for Toyota, that's going to be $3,150. That's money that you put down. Why do you put this money down? It's so you can save on the money factor, or the interest rate of the lease. As you can see right now, with max MSDs, the money factor has dropped to 3.12%. What was it before? Well, with no MSDs, it was at 4.85%. So you just saved over 1% off the interest rate of this lease. Why is that important? Well, a few reasons. Your monthly payment has dropped, but more importantly, the less you pay in interest on a lease, the more you're able to create equity in your lease. So you know how people say leasing is fleecing and you're just renting your vehicle? That's not entirely true. You are building equity in a lease similar to financing, but there's a lot more flexibility built into leasing, which you do not get with financing. So if you scroll down, okay, we have the max MSD set, and AutoCompanion's calculator, it's nice. It'll actually show you how much money you are saving with MSDs compared to without. So you're saving about $60 a month, which is $2,177 over the course of 3 years. And that's important because that's pretty much all interest that you're saving. So you are creating an additional $2,177 in equity over the course of 3 years, which is super important because trucks actually hold their value. It's nice to have equity in a truck. And when you expand upon this, you can actually see the true details of the lease. And we already talked about the residual value, which you can see. So the residual is roughly what you're able to purchase the vehicle out for at the end of your lease. So no, you're not just throwing your money away and you're not just renting the vehicle. No, you can actually buy this Tacoma out for $33,880 or something close to that at the end of 3 years. And with the MSDs, the total amount that you are going to be spending on this lease is $10,000 roughly. So let's say after 3 years, you actually end up liking the Tacoma and you want to buy it out. So you spend 10 grand on the lease. Now you have the option and the ability to buy the vehicle out for 33 grand. Let's say you don't want to do that. Well, don't do it. You can either turn in the keys, pay the disposition fee, or if you're lucky and you have positive equity left over, let's say the truck is worth $38,000, right? And the residual value is close to $34,000. Well, now you have like a $4,000 positive equity into your lease. What you can do is you can maybe sell the vehicle at a CarMax or even at another Toyota dealership, and they will actually cut you a check for $4,000. So that means you only ended up spending 6 grand over the course of 3 years on a lease. This is how people get new vehicles for next to nothing. When you lease a high resale value vehicle, there's a possibility, not a guarantee, that you can have positive equity. So that's one of the flexibilities of leasing. Let's say the Tacoma actually tanked in value. Let's say it's worth 30 grand at the end of your lease. Well, that's now Toyota and the dealership's problem. You don't have to worry about that. You can just turn the keys back in and you're not going to end up in this TikTok horror story situation. I'm sure people have seen those videos where individuals are underwater on a vehicle by 10, 20, even $30,000 plus on their new car purchase. Yeah, that's never going to happen on a lease because you have this set residual value. When you finance a vehicle, that's on you. There is no set residual value. There is no guarantee at the end of 3 years. You don't have the same level of flexibility that you do with leasing. But these numbers are with max MSDs. There's actually an additional way to save even more money on a lease. You can do that by scrolling down all the way to the bottom, and you can select something known as a one-pay lease. This is where you make all the payments up front. And now you can see on the right-hand side, your total cost of the lease has dropped from $10,004 to $8,986. So we are now saving even more money on this lease than we did when we put down max MSD. So now the new interest rate is 2.45%. So someone with cash, they might be thinking to themselves, oh, instead of putting down like 3 grand in MSDs, I might as well just do like a one-pay lease, get it over with, not have payments for 3 years and save money while still having all the flexibility that I talked about. You still have like this set residual value. Okay, you're never going to be underwater with this car. The interest rate is rather low by doing this one-pay lease. And you're once again able to see how much you're saving over the course of 3 years with a one-pay lease compared to traditional month lease. Over 3 grand is being saved, and that's 3 grand in interest that you're saving. And this is all information that has been made free to us thanks to AutoCompanion's calculator. We can now finally truly sit down and understand these numbers. We're never going to get fleeced anymore. Okay, a lot of people, perhaps they like the idea of having a set residual value, preventing them from being underwater, but they were just confused regarding how all of this worked. Well, now you can see exactly how this works. You can see what the interest rates are going to be like. You can see if this makes sense for you and your family. With this Tacoma, yeah, I do recommend doing the one-pay lease on this vehicle. This is definitely the way to enjoy this vehicle. As mentioned before, in the future, there is going to be a finance and a cash calculator as well. And you're going to be able to compare and contrast how all 3 buying methods are going to stack up. There's going to be like an amortization schedule, interest rate comparisons. You can actually see how all of these cost comparisons are going to go down. But right now, this leasing calculator, it's really powerful all on its own because whether you are financing, paying cash, you should still use this to at least see all of these incentives because this is also information that can be difficult to come by. But here you can slowly go through all of this and see exactly what you qualify for, what the qualifications are. Once again, all this information available for free. And how has my audience been using this? Well, they'll find a vehicle that they like on Car Gurus. They'll go to the dealership website. Hopefully they will try to find the dealership's new car sales manager's email. They will email the sales manager directly these numbers before they even step foot inside of the dealership, okay? They'll try to finalize numbers over email with the new car sales manager. They're not dealing with any of the sales associates. They're going straight to the manager, emailing these numbers from AutoCompanion's calculator. They're not mentioning that they got the numbers from AutoCompanion's calculator. They keep that on the low. And this is how you negotiate with new vehicles. So this is what you do if you think you are able to achieve these numbers on your own in your local market. If you can't do that though, you can just hit the browse our deals and you can just pick up a vehicle directly from AutoCompanion. You know, you can actually take advantage of these pre-negotiated deals because, as I mentioned before, AutoCompanion, he is one of the largest car brokers in the United States. He has partnered dealerships primarily in the Washington, D.C. and in the California areas. And if your local area, you know, in a 100-mile radius, if they're not offering you deals and discounts close to this, you've tried, you've reached out to dealerships, you sent them the numbers from AutoCompanion's calculator, they're not budging, then you can pay AutoCompanion his concierge fee and you can get the ball rolling and you can get these phenomenal discounts through AutoCompanion. He even offers nationwide shipping, but shipping is something that you have to pay extra for. But of course, depending on the vehicle, the shipping fee, the concierge fee, it is well worth paying to get some of the best prices in the country. I mean, 14% off, that is well under invoice on a new Tacoma. And you can lease, you can pay cash, you can finance, and you can still get this 14% off discount. And of course, AutoCompanion has other makes and models like Acura, Audi, BMW, Mercedes, Lexus, Toyota, Honda, etc. So there's a lot of choice and selection, good variety. You don't have to spend hours trying to negotiate on your own. You don't have to worry about any of the potential junk fees. You can avoid the confusion, the dealership pressure. You can avoid all of that and enjoy a transparent, haggle-free, excellent deals without any hidden fees. So this is the process, right? You know, if you tried to negotiate on your own, it didn't work out, then you can reach out to AutoCompanion, pay his fee. I bought several vehicles through AutoCompanion, had the vehicle shipped. It was never an issue. It was always a very easy, simple, elegant process. So all the information is here. The calculator, as I mentioned multiple times, is totally free to use. It's been made even more detail-oriented. It's got more features. So enjoy that. I thought that calc deserved its own video. This company is all about transparency. The owner of AutoCompanion was very frustrated with the lack of transparency within the car buying space, and that's why he created this company, created his concierge service for car buying, and created this calculator as well. So enjoy these tools. If you found